everyone, it's Evangeline here at eTrailer, and today we'll be taking a look at our Glacier Chains cable snow tire chains right here on our 2014 Toyota Prius V. These are cable snow tire chains. They are ideal for if you need just a little extra traction on that snow, on that ice, nothing too crazy, and you want to make sure that you're not tearing up the road as you have that traction on your vehicle. So these are going to be a little tricky to install, so I'll guide you through that process later in the video. But if your priority is wheel well clearance as well as something that is safer for the road compared to some other tire chains, this might be a good option for you. So these are cable chains with steel rollers, and they're formed in a ladder style pattern. So what that means is the ladder style pattern is a traditional tire chain pattern where it just crisscrosses across your tires. Usually you'll hear a little bit of a ka-thump as you go on the road compared to diamond pattern tire chains, but since these are very low profile, they won't be as obvious as your larger chains. And since these are steel rollers, they're just gonna roll on the ground and give you that traction without too much interference. These rollers are made of hardened steel. So the priority for hardened steel is going to be durability. Since they're individual rollers, you'll want them to be durable because they could tend to crack or break whenever you do hit those rocks on the road. Something definitely worth avoiding, but they're also easy to replace. So the inside is going to be those sturdy wire cross cables, and then you also have a similar style for your side cables. These are very durable, which is important because I highly recommend using a rubber tensioner like these just to bring these tire chains in, create that tension. That way as you're driving on the side or you're driving on the road, they're not popping off anytime soon. What is Class SAE compatible? Well, these are Class S compatible, which means if you have very limited clearance behind your wheel, you would go with something low profile like this. I actually have the Prius V5 trim, which means I have the larger 17-inch wheels. That makes it even more important that I get Class S chains, so these are gonna work for that. So speaking of tire size, I have the tire size 215, 50, 17. If you're not sure what tire size you have, you can find it printed on the sidewall of your tire. Take a look at that number because that's important. Use that with our eTrailer fit guide just so you can get the right fit for your tires. These are also installed on the front wheels as per the owner's manual, as well as I do recommend please follow your speed limit or don't go over 30 miles per hour when you do have these chains on. When you do get your chains, they're gonna arrive in a bag like this. This is kind of tricky to use because you're gonna have to stack your chains on top of each other and then roll them really tight to get them to fit into the bag. But if you're just driving through an area that requires that you keep chains inside your vehicle at all times, this is going to be helpful for that just because it is small enough, easy to tuck underneath your seat or in your rear basement, and then when you're ready to go, you have this ready to go. Now, the install process was kind of involved just because there's limited profile behind the tires. So my personal thought about these is if you're looking for something very easy to install, I would recommend going with the Titan Chain Diamond Alloy Snow Tire Chains or the Koenig CG9. That way you don't have to reach behind your tire at all. This one I did have to reach behind, and I'm on the small side, so I was able to crawl underneath, but not everyone can do that. Also, these are on the 17-inch wheels, so they fit kind of large. For that reason alone, I highly recommend picking up a tensioner just like this. Now, let's take a look at that install process. So what I do first, and I highly recommend you doing this to the instant your tire chains arrive, is just set them out onto the ground and just double check that everything looks good. I recommend you do this because it's a lot better to get familiar with your tire chains in the warmth and comfort of your garage compared to when you're stranded by the side of the road. One thing to keep an eye out for is that on one side it says tire side. You want the tire side to be facing your tires because there's going to be a hooked side and you want that facing away from your tires. Another thing I look out for is, since these are reversible, you can have them facing pretty much any side lengthwise. You just need to make sure you get it centered over your tires, which is what we're about to do. So what I usually do, and I'll do in a second, is I do connect the back connections. You are gonna have to reach around your tire or reach behind it. If that's gonna be a major issue for you, you can also drive onto these chains and then make the connections at the top. It's a little trickier just to get everything aligned, but whichever works better for you. So I'll make those connections and I'll show you how that works in the front. So in the back, I brought this as far into it as I could just because these are a larger fit. So you're gonna feed the links in through that hook and then secure them by just turning that hook. The final step, and this is not included with your tire chains, is to use these rubber tensioners. So this is gonna help out because it creates a bit more tension with your tire chains and it adjusts itself as you drive around. So go like up, down, left, and right until you have a good amount of tension there. Don't forget to do this exact same process on the other side. If you were thinking ahead and you're driving forward onto your tire chains, you would do them at the same time. That way you can make the connections at the same time. Afterwards, your owner's manual recommends driving forward like half a mile or a quarter of a mile and then double checking that everything still looks good and retighten if necessary. Now, when that is good, you confirmed everything is still in place, then you are ready to hit the road. And that was a look right here at our Glacier Chains Cable Snow Tire Chains here on our 2014 Toyota Prius V.